Cool. Well, you know what? I guess we'll start. Why not? We've got some wine poured. Again, in our nice little intimate group here. And if people trickle in, then they can join us. So Jason was just pouring, oh, thank you, our no added sulfur de Chaunac. So this is a new release for us. We're super pumped about it. I'll touch on it a little bit later, as well as kind of the technology on it. But I guess for the spiel today, I'd like to introduce myself, talk just a little bit about me, talk a lot about our property, a lot about the winery, the new things we're coming up with and what we're up to, and of course talk about our wines. So my name is Amy Baldwin. I am the head winemaker at Waupoos Estates Winery, the cider maker for Clawfeld Fruit Winery, and the cider maker for the 401 Cider Brewery in Colborne at the Big Apple. Really honored to be here today to represent Waupoos, to talk about Waupoos. So how I got started in winemaking, it's kind of a funny story. After high school and looking into college programs, I wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do. So I wasn't always a wino or wine enthusiast. And the program at Niagara College was actually found by my mother. And it was, worst case scenario, we learn about wine. So it's not too shabby. But the best case scenario is, you'll fall in love with it. And I did. I just fell absolutely in love with winemaking, the entire process. So after the winery and viticulture program, I continued my wine studies with the post-grad wine business management course, kind of learning the other side of the industry, how we market things and how labels speak to people. And I even took it a step further and was in the sommelier program for the CAP certification when the job opportunity for Waupoos came up. So all through my schooling, I worked at Rife Estates Winery in Niagara, and they've had a business relationship with Waupoos going back decades. So when Waupoos was looking for a winemaker, they sort of reached out to them and said, hey, do you guys know anybody? We're looking for someone. And the winemaker and owner recommended me, and with a little persuasion and assistance and assurance, I packed my bags and moved to the county within about a month. So I had just turned 23 and I moved to Picton in November, and I thought, oh my God, what did I do? Things close at 4 o'clock, it's quiet, but obviously with a bit of time, I've come to absolutely adore the area. It's home now. I met my husband, got married, had a family, so a really nice fairy tale of obviously how well the area has been for me. So yeah, segueing into Waupoos Estates. So I was, I think, the youngest female winemaker in Ontario at the time. I don't know if I still hold the title. I'm a bit older now. And I came to the oldest winery in the county. So Waupoos Estates is actually the oldest and the first winery in Prince Edward County. The late founder, Ed Noiser, purchased the property with his partner, Rita Kamens, in 1983. So it's a 100-acre property right on Lake Ontario. So we do have a dock for boaters. We're right there, very picturesque. And at the time, it was actually an apple orchard. And I thought, what a nutty idea, how novel. What if we made our own wine? So with the help of my husband, Kyle Baldwin, who's the general manager, they ripped out all of the apple trees and began to plant grapes. So this is where sort of the business relationship with Rife had begun. So they reached out to Rife Estates and said, hey, do you have any ideas for planting grapes in the county? What should we do? What's hardy? So we had a couple trial and errors, but the first vines went in 1993, starting with Vidal and Savelle. So two really hardy white grape varieties, great for our Ontario climate, very cold, hardy, and things took off. So they thought, okay, well, let's keep going. So our portfolio expanded and has continued to grow. So now we're at about just over 20 acres of grapevines, and we have about 20 different grape varieties. So a pretty extensive profile. It's pretty equally split between white and red. We have a lot of hybrid varieties as well as vinifera, sort of our more common grape varieties. So what kind of makes us unique as well is we have kind of the obscure oddball grapes. So we have Auxerrois, we have Geisenheim, 2 different clones, 318 and 322. Duchonac, Frontenac, Saint Laurent. So we do, again, we have some nice varieties that really do grow well in the area, that really show kind of our property. And again, they're a little bit off the beaten path, so it's really cool for people to come in and say, like, I've never heard of this grape variety, and kind of learn a little bit more about it. So yeah, we continue to kind of innovate with our products as well. So when I joined the team in 2011, we wanted to expand our portfolio. So we had kind of our niche wines, and we thought, hey, let's make a wine for everybody. Look at all the varieties we have, look at what we can do with them. So I think in our peak, we had 40 different wines available at Waupoos. I know, right? Crazy, I know, it's so nutty. So we had a tiered system as well. So we had kind of like our fun series, very easy drinking style, up to, our high, very full-bodied reserve wines. So again, we wanted something for everyone, the really dry, style wines, the foodie wines. So we kind of kept running with that. So it's a little, we not spread ourselves thin by any means, but again, it is a lot to kind of get your head around with everything that we have to offer. So continuing with kind of our innovation, again, we always want to stay up on trends. We always want to be able to offer something different and new and current, which is where our no added sulfur Duchonac came into play. So we can't call it a sulfur-free wine because there is sulfur within, the soil and the grape. Therefore, we're always going to have kind of very trace amounts within a wine. But this was actually using a patented technology from Italy. We're the first in Canada to have applied it. So once we harvested the grapes, instead of sending them right to our crusher destemmer, starting fermentation, they actually took a little journey into a climate-controlled area, and they were treated with ozone. So the rate in which the ozone is applied, as well as the temperature, is proprietary. Excuse me, but essentially what the ozone does is it triggers something within the grape to create more anthocyanins and defense system. So the grape kind of thinks it's under attack. So it creates these, it levels up its defense system so that it doesn't oxidize. So as a winemaker, sulfur is a very fickle beast, and we don't personally, I don't like to add a lot to it. We keep our wine stable with it. So it's our antioxidant, antimicrobial, antibacterial, kind of covers all levels. So from my standpoint, this was kind of a terrifying process to not add any sulfur to this wine. But again, with using this technology, it creates a very stable, no added sulfur wine, and one that is eligible for cellaring and for aging. So we're very excited to be releasing this, and again, have our kind of story to go along with it. Another one of the really exciting innovations that we've been able to do this year, again, keeping up on trends, using all of our goodies that we have on the property, is our second red that we have available for tasting, which is our Appassimento style red. So traditionally in the warmer climates, after the grapes are harvested, they're laid out on mats to dry naturally within the climate. So we have a nice dry, lots of hot sun. Here we don't quite have that, so we were able to mimic that with our greenhouse that we have on site. So we do start a lot of our seedlings in our greenhouse. We also have a citrus grove on the property, so all of our citrus trees have a really nice winter in this greenhouse. And we thought, hey, let's try another use for this greenhouse. And we harvested our grapes. We put them in custom-made pine and metal racks. We then lined the racks with some maple leaves from our sugar bush, just to add a little bit of extra romance to it. And we set the grapes in the greenhouse and let them dry for about 4 to 7 days. So all depending on the sugar content that we started with what we end up with. So by doing that, by drying the grapes, we lessen the water content within it, and we really intensified, the sugars, flavors, resulting in a really nice jammy wine. So we were able to do a Cabernet Franc Appassimento, a Baco Noir, and we also experimented with a white, so we did a Vidal as well. So again, we do have that available for sampling. Jason's around. It's pretty quiet in here. We're all friends now, so you can just say, hey, we're ready to try some Cab Franc. So that's really exciting on the wine side of things. Again, I take a very natural approach to winemaking. I learned from a very traditional winemaker from Rife Estates, so I like to be as minimally invasive as I possibly can with it. With so many cool grape varieties that we have, they all have their own kind of uniqueness. So I like that to shine through. I mean, we're on a pretty epic plot of land here. Being right on the water also is a huge benefit to us because we get, it's kind of a double-edged sword like most things. So we get the really nice airflow off of the lake. Helps us a lot in the winter time because typically it doesn't freeze. So getting that breeze off of the water really helps to prevent our vines from getting too cold. But again, on the nasty side of things, being so close to the water does increase our humidity. So we do have to be, very aware of our climate, of our weather, just because added humidity within the vineyard can be a really great breeding ground for things like powdery mildew and downy mildew. So again, and our restaurant that we have here is another awesome feature of our property. We try to really offer our whole property to our customers, right? So you're welcome to come down, take a stroll around the property with a glass of wine. And our restaurant, of course, we'd like you to come dine in. So we have recently renovated the restaurant. So we have a brand new kitchen, new appliances, new fixtures, the whole 9 yards. We've also added a whole new bar area, which is going to be great for wine-focused cocktails and cider cocktails. And I think many of you may have actually seen our restaurant and not really realized it. So this restaurant is actually featured in a lot of LCBO advertisements prior to its renovation. So there's a beautiful picture of vineyards, a little pink flower in the corner, and then this little covered gazebo building. And that's actually a picture of Waupoos Winery. Just a little trivial pursuit question for you. And so continuing with our restaurant, we're also really taking our farm to table game to a whole new level this year. So we are an operating farm. We do have game birds and livestock on the property, and we've also totally expanded our garden. So last year, I think we had just over a 2-acre garden of vegetables. This year, we're close to 7. So we've really kind of upped the ante in that sense. So we obviously will supply our restaurant with all of our produce and also have it available for sale in the market across the street. Excuse me. So again, we like to promote our property in its essence, in its whole, right? So we try to emulate some of that within our wines, and then again, having people come down to visit us and Waupoos as a whole is what we're trying to kind of bring down. So we're a little bit off the beaten path in this area from a lot of other wineries that are kind of grouped closer together. Waupoos is actually the name of the area, which is an old Ojibwe term for running rabbit. So we have kind of adopted that and taken it in with our logo of a running rabbit. But down in the Waupoos area, there's a lot of exciting things to do. We do have some neighboring wineries. We do have some local cheese producers, markets, orchards, pubs, the marina as well for the water sports and boating. So we're really trying to, again, get a sense of who we are with our branding, again, as it continues to evolve and kind of finding our niche with everything. And again, supporting our whole area down there as well. So that's kind of the skinny, I tried to, is it short and sweet, or did I did okay. I did all right. I was worried I was going too fast, but we did all right. So again, if you guys are interested in trying the Passamento Cab Franc or the no added sulfur Dichilnac again, we do have it available for sampling in here. And if you have any questions, please fire away.
Waupoos, were you affected by the frost on May 23rd, 2015?
We were, yeah. It was.
How bad was it at your place?
It was pretty devastating as well. So again, it was shaping up to be a beautiful season, you know. And we had just, with our different vineyard plots, we have some on the lakeside and we have some across the road. So they do actually, despite being really close, they do almost have different timings, right? So on some varieties and some plots, we were just coming, you know, our buds were just popping out, you know, some of our leaves were coming, and then it hit us pretty hard. We lost probably about 70 to 80%. Yeah, it was a really rough year. So that year we did bring in obviously more fruit from Niagara to kind of keep us afloat. We do try to do as much as we can, obviously, from our farm, from our vineyard. But again, depending on the year, we needed wines to sell, wines to make, so we did purchase more fruit from Niagara. So that was a rough one. We're a little bit behind this year, again, with our rainy days.
Are your vines uncovered?
Yep, yeah, so everything's uncovered. We're pruned, everything got a nice haircut and trimmed down, and we're tying now as well. So we do have some native vines on our property for more decoration purposes, but they're progressing pretty quickly. So we already got our leaf fold happening, and some our Baco on the back as well is starting to pop out as well. So yeah, so hopefully, you know, we can get a couple days of sun and get some of this rain out of here so we can dry up again and get ourselves back on track. Yeah. All right, lovely. Well,
one more question. What do you want your legacy to be at Waupoos Estates?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's hard. Like, I think, obviously, like in many winemakers, you want to be remembered for your craft. So I would love to be recognized, you know, as one of the headstrong and leading female wine producers in Ontario, you know, maybe Canada. So, and I think that is also another hurdle, right? So female winemakers are becoming a lot more common, and which is awesome. So I think it's not just an old boys club anymore. We're really making our mark and producing really great wine. So I think from a legacy standpoint, that would be awesome to be remembered as producing stellar Prince Edward County wines.
You mentioned your mom having written the course?
No, she found it, so I gave her credit for finding the course.
Yeah. She founded it.
Oh no, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, it was kind of by happenstance, by thinking, do I go into business? Do I go into this? So it wasn't a passion from like a very young age that I'd always wanted to be a winemaker. So I kind of fell into it, and just it became kind of my everything. So yeah, so it was very cool. And Niagara College is, you know, doing awesome right now with all of its programs, winemaking, beer, cider. So they've really kind of encompassed all of it. And another speaker and winemaker from Trail Estates, Mackenzie, was actually in my class as well. So really good success rate in that class. Yeah.
Any questions?
Cool. Well, thank you guys.